Joining us now is State Senator Robert Gianaris. Thanks so much for joining us on Zoom. Michael Gianaris. Bill Ritter is joining us as well here on the anchor desk. Thanks so much for joining us, Michael.
Thanks for having me. Senator, let's get your first reaction. We have a lot to unpack here and get your opinions about. You're from Queens. You've been around a long time. Not as long as I have, but you've been around a long time. And you've got a sense of politics. What was his position? Did he have any choice but to resign? And what happens now? I don't know if you heard Assemblyman Ron Kim interviewed by Joe Torres and Liz Cho a few minutes ago, but he laid down the gauntlet and said this is what Kathy Hochul has to do. Let's first talk about your reaction to the governor's resignation.
Sure. I mean, this was an inevitable conclusion. Many of us have been calling for this for many months now. And the governor's right about one thing. He's now going to spare some of the drama of having this drag out for another couple of months. The state has been paralyzed the last few months. We have rent aid that was allocated over $2 billion to go out to people who lost income during the COVID pandemic that has not gone out the door. We're the last state in the nation to get that money moving. The Excluded Workers Fund is not has happened the way it should be. The HERO Act, which would provide for COVID protections in the workplace, has not been certified to take effect. These are all things that are critically important that have been on hold because of the paralysis in the executive branch. So it should have happened sooner. I'm glad it happened. It's unfortunate, but it does give us the opportunity now to have the beginnings of accountability for this behavior. And hopefully also get us to make the policies of the state stronger as it relates to protecting victims of sexual harassment.
What do you hope to see in the next 10 days? The governor had
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We apologize for that in case you heard that on air.
Yes, you did.
Senator, what do you hope to see in the next 10 days between Governor Cuomo and Lieutenant Governor Hochul? You know, he said that he had hoped that there is going to be a smooth transition between power. What do you hope to see in the next 10 days? And then what do you hope to see Catherine Hochul accomplish immediately?
Well, I'm hopeful that they would spend these 2 weeks setting Kathy Hochul up for success. There's a lot to do. I mentioned some of the issues that have fallen off the table. We need to get those. There are people waiting for resources to pay their rent, people waiting for benefits for their unemployment over the last year and a half. So hopefully they're just setting up the infrastructure of the state to move very quickly once Kathy Hochul ascends to the governorship. As for what I expect from her, I know Kathy Hochul well, as many of us do. She was here in Astoria just about a month ago talking about this possibility with me. And I think right now we may disagree on some aspects of issues and ideology, but the important thing now is just to get the state stabilized and moving in the right direction. Next year is an election year, so we can worry about those differences then. For right now, I'm prepared to roll up my sleeves and work cooperatively with her to get the state moving in the right direction.
And one of your colleagues, Senator in the Assembly, Ron Kim, just told us on air a few minutes ago before you got on that he expected big things from her. He expected her to start cleaning up the toxic environment of governors' offices and have it be a less pressurized, less harassing workplace. Is that something that you would expect the lieutenant governor, governor, to do in 14 days? Or are you suggesting, and then this is what I'm sort of getting to, are you suggesting that we have been in a frozen zone since this scandal broke and nothing really has gotten done and that's more important? Or are both important?
I think they're both very important. Now, we certainly have been in a frozen zone and need to get the state, the wheels of the state moving again. But look, let's not forget, Kathy Hochul will be the first female governor in the state's history. That's a very big deal. And as it relates to setting the tone of combating harassment in the workplace, I would hope and expect that she would take an aggressive tone. We saw it in the state Senate. Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who's our leader, was the first woman to ever lead the state Senate. And I think most people would recognize that the culture of the Senate has changed dramatically for the better. I would hope and expect that Kathy Hochul would bring that same attitude to the executive branch. And I think she's going to have the cooperation of a lot of legislators if she's doing things the right way and working with us in a way that this current governor never seemed to have an interest in doing. And we've got about a year and 4 months left in this term, so I would think we'd want to get as much done as we can for the people of the state in that time, and then let the political season take care of itself next year.
We have now the second governor out of the last two who have been elected, not have served, David Patterson was appointed just like, succeeded just like Kathy Hochul is going to succeed. So the last two elected governors, Eliot Spitzer and Andrew Cuomo, have left office amid scandal. What does that say to the rest of the country? What does it say to us New Yorkers? What does it say to you?
Well, I mean, what's interesting, and I was, as you pointed out, we've both been around a long time, but I've been around for both of them. And one similarity they had was this hard-charging, take no prisoners, kill or be killed attitude that is not the best way for government to function and is not necessary. I think there's a lot of people who are dedicated public servants in the legislature and in other branches of government who are here to do good for people and lend their ideas to the cause. But both of the gentlemen you just mentioned were ones that bully would be a good term to describe them, and has been used to describe them both. So hopefully we've learned a lesson that an open hand instead of a clenched fist is a better way to govern it. I'm hopeful Kathy Hochul will bring that to the table.
What do you think is next for Governor Cuomo?
I don't know. That's pretty low on my list of things to think about right now. So we'll leave that to him to figure out. But I'm really concerned about the state. You know, I am pleased. You know, we've always used to talk about the three men in a room that run the state. Well, now two of the three leaders are going to be women. So that is a pretty big sea change for our state. Of course, we have Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who's our great leader in the Senate. Kathy Hochul will now be governor with Carl Hastie, and he's going to be in the minority as the only man in that negotiating room. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes things.
Before we say goodbye, I want to talk to you about what do you think the legacy besides this is going to be. He accomplished a lot. If you look at transportation, what he did for transportation, between the Moynihan Center and LaGuardia Airport and rebuilding of the Tappan Zee into the Mario Cuomo Bridge, he did a lot. And will that eventually come out, or was this going to be his legacy?
History will judge. I'm actually walking distance from LaGuardia Airport as we speak here in Astoria, so I'm very familiar with it. There's some infrastructure projects that have certainly moved along. You mentioned the Tappan Zee or the Mario Cuomo Bridge. That's part of the Assembly's impeachment investigation because there's questions about its safety and the data that has been released publicly as it relates to that. A lot of this still needs to be learned and told over time. But look, for us who were in the state Senate as Democrats, we lived with most of a decade of him trying to keep Republicans in charge of the Senate. And that was a very unfortunate and deceptive way to be as a Democratic governor. We overcame all that. We've had a very productive last couple of years, the most productive legislative sessions of the last three with our Democratic majority. And so to the extent he was a part of signing those bills and getting those things done, good for him. But you know, I'm sure other governors can do just as well.
Okay. State Senator Michael Gianaris, I appreciated you joining us for this historic day, Senator. And by the way, when I said I've been around longer, I meant that only in terms of age, not experience. Just since you brought it up, I thought, okay, he's pinching back. But no, I meant that in total respect. Senator,
I know you did. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for joining us, sir.